You're listening to Hooked on Startups, where every week you'll hear from some of the most talented, inspiring, and successful entrepreneurs who share their real-life stories, how they overcame challenges and failures, and how they mastered success. Get ready for some of the best business tips, tricks and tactics, and some frank, unscripted discussions. Here's your host, Matthew Sullivan.
So here we are, yet again, another exciting episode of Hooked on Startups, starring no other than Darin Dawson, co-founder. Sorry, I'm just rubbish at this. I can't even read, for God's sake. Co-founder and president of BombBomb.
You got that part perfect, in my opinion. You're fine.
Well, that's great. Thank you. I mean, it's been a long day, and it's only 2:00. You know. But I think it's just I run out of talent at a very early part of the morning. That's when my sort of talent expires. But it's just reading your resume. It's a fascinating approach. And I think you talk about rehumanizing the planet and communication and using video and this idea of connecting to people, which I completely subscribe to, because it's in the world of crypto and blockchain and AI and we've lost this ability to connect. I don't think we've lost it, but tell me more. What's your view of the world?
Yeah, we're losing it. I think that ultimately people still like to work with people they know, like, and trust. And the pandemic did not help us at all in terms of building better, deeper relationships. I think
because we don't trust anyone. Get away from me.
Right, that and what we started doing even more than we were before was just assaulting everyone with more stuff, more emails, more LinkedIn messaging, more text messaging, more phone calls. We just amplified it times 100, 1,000 more, I think, to try and get the attention of these people. And I think the other thing that's happened is there's a lot more businesses using that same tactic than were before. So the idea here is I'm going to email you a cadence of 7 to 20 emails over a period of time, and I would love to schedule a time to meet with you. And then after that, it's more emails and more stuff and more video. And so, it's not just about video, by the way. I think video can be abused just as much as any medium can be. So I think that assault began to get crazier through the pandemic. And now we find ourselves just kind of still doing it. And what I would love to propose is that relationships are the core fundamentals of your business, that lifetime value of a customer is associated with how they feel about your company, how they feel about the people they work with in your company, and that how I feel about something is really only translated through the humans that work for you.
Yes, and I agree. And I think the social media and all this sort of stuff, remember, it's relatively young. It's only, a decade, something like that. So.
Even email really hit its stride, maybe showed up around 95, 96, really. I mean, everyone had Hotmail accounts. There was business accounts started to show up there. I mean, it's still all very young in the context of the business world.
And trying to automate things. Do you think that if a business moves into the sort of social media world and tries to bombard people with these electronic messages, I know it's part of a strategy, but do you think it is just ultimately laziness that is driving this? I think you think you can sit back. Sorry to interrupt. You feel you can sit back and just let the computer do the work.
Well, I think it's easy if you're the owner or you're the investor, because what you're trying to do is create one common message that you can control. Because really what you worry about controlling is the delivery of that message by a staff of salespeople or customer success people that are going to do it their own way every time. So you can control it. Then you also can control the velocity of which you're sending it out. And it does have a return to it, right? So they're doing it because somewhat it's working. But what I would again propose, think about, we like 4% open rates. I think that would be astronomically amazing if you got a 4% open rate in a campaign like that, or even a response rate of that level. That's unacceptable. What we need to think about is the 96% of people who did not respond and did not appreciate it, and then who is opting out. And is your addressable market as a business, is it exponentially large? Is it like air? Is it forever in that there's no extinguishing your addressable market? Because I think everyone's addressable market has some limit to it. And the faster you blow through it, are you making a good impact for your business? Or are you making a negative impact for your business? Do people go, oh, not again, here comes another email. I am never talking to that business. I mean, just do we even consider the negative impact this amount of communication is bringing to us?
There is that. So tell me more about what led you to this, because you're speaking from experience, I can tell. And his experience is driven by, we've tried this, it didn't work, we tried that, it didn't give us the, how do you control the message yet grow the customers? So tell me more about what led you to this. What were the steps that you took? What worked, what didn't work, and what has led you to that moment when you're thinking, hang on, this is the answer?
Yeah. So back in 2006, when we started the business, the idea was this, that we thought we'd be better in person than we were over email, even then, right? But this was, so we thought, well, how could we send videos? Can I say, because the problem I had is I had more customers than I had time. So I was a sales rep. I was trying to meet with individual people to sell them advertising at that time. But the idea that we had was, well, if I could communicate to more of them or more directly on my time, and then they could watch it on their time. Half the problem is syncing calendars, right? To get an appointment, trying to get an appointment. I'm trying to get you need to give me your time. Our calendars need to marry up so we can have this talk. Well, if I could just send you this message, asynchronous communication, right?
Absolutely.
I could just send you this message. Then you could watch it on your time, right? You could then decide whether or not you wanted to respond to me, but you could hear what I had to say and determine if it had value or not enough to give me your time if we did need to meet, or we could talk more about it on the phone, however that. But it was the initial, what's this all about? But it was more in person. Whereas you see, I'm an animated person. I use my hands when I talk. We all do. We communicate non-verbally. And, most of the time people like me. When, if you're in sales, you probably have a gift of building relationships and building rapport. The problem I have with a lot of this technology is that removes all your ability as a salesperson, and it puts it behind, it makes everyone the same.
Yes.
Right. And I know that I can ask for your time better like this with my smile.
Yes.
And you might say yes to that more than just another email, black text on a white screen. Are you with me?
Yeah,
So
no,
that
completely,
was the
because
original
I think
idea.
It's funny that we make decisions in terms of whether we like people in nanoseconds.
Correct.
And it is entirely driven by what we see, because we associate certain things with certain people. And there's a ton of research about this. And I think in every day, if you look through any social media, you're looking at the person to see whether you can connect to that person. You don't read the stuff about them. Right. So I think you're absolutely right that we've lost an incredibly powerful tool by just sending people messages and focusing on the copy and the and what's written. When, hang on, you've got this entire toolbox of
humanity
that you're not using. So I think it's a fantastic. You're not discovering anything. It's like, hang on, what are you guys doing?
I'm trying to bring
it.
Well, I use an analogy like this. Let's just assume you and I both have a business that's very similar. We're in the same market. We have the same customer. We sell the same thing. And let's say we're a software company. And usually what that means is that I have some features that you don't have.
Yeah.
And maybe you have some features that I don't have, right? But the only thing stopping me from building what you have or you building what I have is time and money.
Yeah.
That's all I need. Because with software engineers, I can really build just about anything I ever want to build. So if we're very much the same, our price points are very similar, the deal structures are similar, why do you think the customer that we both want to acquire, how do they make the decision about who they're going to choose to work with?
Who do I like?
Who do I like? How do I feel about the company? Yeah. I think they're going to do a good job servicing, taking care of my people. How do they do onboarding? All these are people things. These are soft skills. This is more about the experience that they feel you're going to give them through that journey from purchase to I'm your customer. They have to determine that in this window of time. And I would just argue that your people are going to be the experience that it gives you the ultimate differentiation, right? And so then they get to choose which company they like the most, if it's really the same. And I think this is a lot the case.
I'll tell you one thing I noticed, because I moved here from the UK a few years ago. And the one thing I noticed is that moving to Southern California and trying to set up businesses there, it's very much more to do with who you are and your personal contacts. And
Network.
what I mean by that is it's you're building relationships the old-fashioned way. So trying to start something or trying to build a platform or a company, you have to go back to something that I wasn't sort of really that familiar with for a number of years, which is you got to meet people. You're having lunches and dinners, and it's remarkably still woven into the fabric of the business community over here. Doing business mano a mano, personality is incredibly important. So I think to lose that by trying to create and build your business based just on that sort of two-dimensional world. But the question is really for you, now that you've got this capability, how do you get in front of people? How do you get them to sort of go past the first stage, which is to engage with you and watch the video as, in the advertisements in their favorite TV channel?
That's great. Well, I think we try and deliver this experience anywhere you're trying to message someone. And I think the other idea that you still have to be pretty good at is solving someone's problem. So if your message is bad, I'm not really going to help you very well. But if you really have identified who your target customer is and you know the problem you solve for them, I can almost guarantee you that if you put video into the mix of both your sales process and your customer success process, that the overall customer experience you deliver will make an impact and make you to be the one that they know, like, and trust. Now, let me give you some examples, because I think real tactical examples, right?
Yes.
Send a personal video just commenting on, something maybe they blogged about, maybe they have a podcast, maybe they wrote an article. You got to start to build the relationship. I think so much we just go right for it, right? Like, we want to get this appointment. We need to build a relationship. So maybe this is someone that's on your marketing team that's doing this. Maybe it's not the sales rep, right? I believe that there's this buyer journey, and it starts in this idea of awareness. I'm aware of what you do. Maybe I'm not. So if I'm not aware, you need to make me aware of what you do. Maybe do that by commenting, and you liked me on this podcast, right? I heard you on the Stars podcast. It was great. Tell me why. Okay, the next time you email me, I'm going to, I remember that, right? You got to start to build a relationship. Shake their hand first.
Yes.
Introduce yourself. Don't immediately go, I got this thing that's really going to help you, kind of thing. So start there. Okay, then let's get in the sales process. I know that you know who our company is. We actually work with a lot of people like you, because most people like you have the problem of X, and we solve it with Y. If it's worth your time, Darin, I'm going to set you up with our account executive, Daniel. He's been doing this for a very long time, and you only take 15 minutes of your time. Then you can be the judge. But what's the problem you're going to solve for me? Okay. And deliver that in a very personal, human to human way. Right. And then I think where it's most effective, and then you can comment a bit, is in the sales experience itself. So now that I've identified that, yes, I think you can help me, be the account executive that just over delivers on the customer experience. So after the call, maybe a reminder, hey, I'm really looking forward to meeting with you at 2:00 on Friday. We're going to go over this, and this. I promise not to waste your time. That ensures that call is held, right? So you have a higher attainment of actually held calls. Then after the call, maybe do a screen cap, record it. You can send it back to them and say, I've recorded this for you. Here's the recording, and feel free to share it with whomever else needs to see it in your business. I think in video, we can ask people to do things, and make it compelling, and actually do it. Versus if I was to do it in a text, they might not read it all and they don't deliver on it as well. But if I say, look, if you really would like to share this with other people in the buying committee or the executive team, that way they can have the context of what this is all about. So I'm being very intentional in how I'm delivering this experience. And I think it makes you unique over your competitors.
Yes. And I agree. I agree with everything that you say, because looking back, I'm thinking about the emails that I receive every day, and it's the standard stuff. I saw your details on LinkedIn and I think we'll be a good fit. It's like, no, you haven't, don't lie. Or, we can solve your problem. You don't know anything about me. You haven't taken the time. But occasionally I'll get one or two emails, and this is what's funny, where I know that someone's actually taken the time to read up on something I've written, or something that we've published, and you can tell that it's not created by a computer, then the irony is I feel compelled to answer that person.
There's a reciprocity effect that takes place there.
Yeah, I feel bad. Right. It's like you've actually taken the time. It's like someone knocking on your door, wanting to give you something, and you're
correct.
So it is very powerful what you're talking about. And
it's interesting to ask you a question, a follow-up question, what you just said, that when you get these emails, you can tell it wasn't sent by a computer. I think even more now, we don't believe humans are actually sending us the emails anymore. Are you with me?
Oh, I know. It's it's a program. Here's
you
the
don't
standard
believe
text.
that the phone call coming through isn't even a real person. So the problem we start to have is, even when it is a real person, you start to go, is this just really good artificial intelligence? And then you don't have the reciprocity, because I think it used to be we get those emails and I would feel compelled to at least respond to them. I feel no compulsion to respond at all, because I think they're a machine. And I think there are a lot of people that there's no reciprocity. But if it's a human being, so if I say, Matthew, this is Darin, this email is for you in a video. Wow. Okay. At least this, I think we get back to some of that reciprocity. And if I can help you understand why I am able to solve a problem that I know you have in your business, and why you might want to spend some time with me to unpack that, that's far more compelling. And less is more. And we've shown this with our customers, very large customers, that ratchet down the amount, because the first thing everyone says is, this isn't scalable. You can't scale this. I might say you can land more people or things with a rifle than you can with a shotgun. This is a very old adage, that being very focused and targeted about who is our ideal customer profile, exactly what problem do we solve, and let's be targeted with our approach with our sales team. You can be more effective, have a bigger deal size, initial deal size goes up, and then LTV increases because the experience overall is better. That's what we want. Our unit economics of our businesses are the same. I just don't agree that this velocity onslaught is how we get to them.
Well, the question really is, where are you in the funnel? Because I think there's some truth to that. In other words, if you've got a mass marketing campaign, then this is not the tool.
Yeah, if you are a transactional business, if you're just banging out widgets or whatever it is. But if you are a software that in your average sales and 50,000 or more, I'd even argue to say 25,000 or more in initial deal size, this is for you. Because are you going to get more building relationships with people, and will they stay with you longer if you implemented this? That's the only question I'd ask you to ask yourself. Like, is it possible?
So what you're talking about is really, you've got the high ticket stuff where you've got a small number of clients that give you high revenues. You talk about software. But I think the other thing really is businesses where they rely on trust. So I'm thinking about the advisory businesses, the investment advisors, insurance advisors, whether it's sort of the financial industry as a whole, where you're trying to get more business. And you can say, we are personable, we are customer centric. You can use all those overused phrases, but I think and I'm thinking about one of the businesses that my business right now, where this would work really well, where you've got someone interested in what you're doing, but to try and get that appointment, to get that conversation where your diaries are never going to match up. So I'm feeling, rather inspired at the moment by what you're doing, because I can see that it would really work, because trust in our business is important, but we're trying to deliver a relatively new type of financial product. And I think people are naturally nervous. They're naturally thinking, this is too good to be true. So just to have that feeling that someone's actually taken the time to put a video together and speak to you personally and reference your home here, and like, we've done this and we've done that, and give us a call. So
it's interesting you bring that up. I mean, the first customers we had were real estate agents, mortgage people, loan officers, financial advisors, these types of businesses, because it is highly relational. If I do not trust you, you're not getting my business, right? Like, so how do you convey more know, like, and trust? People do that. We do that by seeing each other, by shaking hands, by getting to know one another, by being vulnerable, by showing empathy, by saying thank you. So simple things in that type of business thank you for your time today.
Yes.
I really appreciate you taking the time and listening to what we had to say.
Yeah.
Those types of follow-ups are very simple, but almost insanely more effective when delivered either face-to-face or via a video that's asynchronous versus a text. It just loses it because you lose that. We call it human-centered communication. What are these things that only humans can deliver and only humans can do? And how do we make sure we can do them across time and space, so to speak? So if you're in California and I'm in Colorado, I can have that feeling of being in person, right? So these thank you for your time and explaining complex things, doing a screen share, recording the screen share, sending that. This asynchronous element is the key part of video, I think.
And I think what's happened over the last 18 months because of the impact of COVID and the pandemic is that people are now far more receptive to these types of media. In other words, the concept of having Zoom calls was far less. I mean, now it's a word
in-person meetings. Yeah.
And so do you see that as something that's really put lit a fire under your business?
Yes, because, well, the biggest challenge that we have with users is they do not like the way they look on camera. As number one. That's the biggest problem. They might not say it, but we know underlying that I just don't like how I look on camera. I don't like how I sound.
Yeah.
And so, yes, this did help them get over that. That's still an underlying fear. People are worried about this.
But that's interesting. Is that something that you never thought, or is that something that you'd planned for, as it were? But did it just come out of left field?
We found it out immediately.
Yes.
Even back when we first started the business.
Wow. Interesting.
And I would say that this is the difference, I think, between us and everyone else that does this. We've been doing this since 2006. I personally have sent over like 10,000 one-to-one videos.
Yes.
We have some people on our team send well over 20,000 one-to-one videos. So we get it. Like you need to get over this hump in your mind and start creating these habits that work. And if you're even thinking about doing video in your business, you need to think about creating habits that people can, like, when I do this, I send a video. When I do this, I send a video. You need to create these habit moments that kind of get us over this mental trap of, I don't like how I look. I don't like how I sound. I have a face for radio, not for television. Why am I doing this? Before. Right? Yeah, exactly.
But okay, so now let's talk about this sort of, horribly overused term, vulnerability. Mm-hmm. It's, in some respects, people are far more forgiving. The fact that if you can get across, you don't want someone who's polished with this fantastic sort of, background, because that makes it feel, again, is that something you've come across?
It's a psychological event. In every deep relationship any human has, vulnerability has occurred. Okay. Yep. And every deep relationship that every human being has, vulnerability has occurred. I've let you into my life. You know me in a way that others don't. There's levels of that, right? But this idea of just stepping into something and being willing to put yourself out there, it's a very human trait that other humans respect. In fact, your brain chemistry respects it. Yes. When I see you in your face and the micro expressions you make,
yes,
my brain's giving me feedback. How am I coming across? Right? All these things are very good. So when I give that experience to you,
yes,
you feel like you like me, or maybe you feel like you don't, but at least you're getting this human experience across, right? I think that's what most people are worried about.
You just want the yes or the no, don't you? So from a sales perspective, it's like every no is closer to a yes. And, again, forgive me for that, everyone. But it is that whole thing where, this is it. I can't make this any better. This is my face for radio.
Yeah.
So look,
that's why I used to say that. I'm like, okay, newsflash, that's how you look like, right? But
you can't change that. When you have a face-to-face meeting, you can't go in with full makeup.
That's it.
And a green screen,
No, exactly. And with a filter, everyone wants to,
everyone wants to look like a cat.
Will BombBomb ever do filters? I'm like, I don't think that's us, right now. That's not us. I think that I want you to be you, and I want to bring that through. And so we do need to train salespeople to do well. We need to be able to talk clearly about what our offering is and why it's important to them. Sorry.
Yes. No, God. Yeah. What love.
And I think that's important. And the other thing I really think that we're doing poorly in this is you still have to make your bed if it's behind you, right? Like if we're sitting if we're working remotely, I've worked with some professionals. I would tell you our VP of partnerships, she has worked remotely. Our CMO has worked remotely far beyond this pandemic. And so they go to work every day looking like they could walk into your boardroom if it was in Manhattan, in Los Angeles, and wherever city in the United States or any part of the world for that matter. They come to work professionally dressed. And I think we need to get back to that. I think there's a little bit of a slide there. There's a bit of a professionalism that we need to bring to this as well, because
and it's like a relearning, isn't it? You think that, and you know, I can say this fully confident because I'm actually wearing a shirt. So I'm just thinking, thank God I put a shirt on, you know, yes.
And pants, I presume.
You know, what's below the fold doesn't really matter. But it's, you know, you dress to respect the occasion, don't you? So okay, it's like, what are we talking about? This is stuff that my dad would talk to me about when I was like 14. Yes. It's like we've forgotten all of this because we think we can just do click and send, and then we abrogate our responsibilities, and then we blame the metrics and the social media guys because we're not getting the engagement.
Correct. And so what I tell my team is, if you were walking into their boardroom, wherever that is, would you dress any differently?
Yes.
And if the answer is yes, maybe think about that, right? Yeah. Just think about if you address, would you do it differently if you were meeting them in person? So if you would, I mean, this goes for Zoom calls, this goes for BombBomb, any kind of, if they're going to see you, think about it. Yeah. So how would you dress?
And again, so it's a bit like this, your business, I would imagine, starts off a bit like an inverted pyramid, where at the bottom, the smallest piece is like, okay, we've decided that the world has gone mad. Everyone's gone email crazy. So we're going to bring it back to basics and we're going to use video. And then the more you get into it, the more you realize that, okay, to do video, we've got to teach people how to engage people. And then once people engage, we've got to teach them how to not how to speak, but how to come across, how to message. And then, so do you find that you're getting deeper and deeper into the commercial psyche of the businesses that you're working with?
Every day, because, and this is usually when this is my separation from my competition, because ultimately you need help with this. This isn't going to just be a snap of the fingers.
So you're not a technology solution. So for those of you that are laboring under the misapprehension, this is a technology product. It's not. I mean, the technology is the communication medium, but it's getting people back to basics, isn't it? Really, getting people, teaching people.
I mean, what we realize is our technology solution had a real human problem that we needed
the
to help
humans
our customers with. The humans, right? That, you know, we many of us as the older folks maybe grew up with this idea of the 10 o'clock news or the 11 o'clock news, and that mass media complex trained us to think we all had to look like them to ever be on any kind of movie, right? And then maybe our parents got VHS recorders, and then we evolved in these different things. We got more and more used to it, but now more than ever, we're in this age of video. But then if you look at TikTok, you look at Instagram, this is very much the problem that the younger generation faces. It's a made up portrayal of us, not really us all the time. Right.
Yeah.
So
the avatar.
The avatar. I'm putting out what I want to this identity to be versus maybe what I really am. And so it's just coming together of this, like, people need to know who you are and trust you. They don't trust you if you're not authentic, if you're not transparent, if you don't get down to it. And so we still need these sales skills. We needed them. Maybe when I started my sales career, it was the phone. And I needed to be able to deliver on the phone. It is not different. You still got to be able to deliver on the phone. You need to be able to deliver in person. And now you need to be able to deliver in video. This should be as part of your toolkit. Well, of course, I'm very biased to this, as the telephone, as the email.
Again, it's almost like it's staring us in the face. That, you know, the answer is this. The answer to our communication problem is video. But with video comes that awful thing, which is hard work. Which we really don't want, and we blame the fact that we don't want to do the work by using phrases like "it's not scalable," which, in other words, translated is, "God, how much? What I got to what? I've actually got to speak to someone." I didn't think I had to do that anymore.
It is like, or change management. These are things that no one wants to hear if you're leading a business unit, but this is where we can help, because you have to get this under your belt. If you agree that ultimately you're unique, well, let me put it this way. If I ask 9 out of 10 executives like myself that own a business, what is the best asset in your business? They all will say their people.
Yeah.
All of them. But yet we keep them in the sales context or in the customer experience context kind of guarded. We're not letting them in front of the customer as much. And I believe that the ones that we're working with that do keep customers longer, because ultimately it's the relationship they have with your people that makes them choose you and stay with you. And when everything goes to hell in a handbasket, they come back to you and stay with you through the trouble because of the relationship they have. And relationships aren't built over text emails.
Yeah. And what is the biggest thing that holds people back? So when you talk to a firm and they're nodding, they go, yeah, Darin, this is brilliant. You're absolutely right. And then, so is it fear? Yeah. Is it, what stops people
it's
from
going through, sometimes I see as a risk. Is this going to make my career or break my career? Right. Or I don't want to rock the boat. Status quo is fine. But usually it's someone who's like, I'm going to make this thing happen, and I'm going to bring this to bear. I'm going to encourage people through it. We get huge results there. You have to have buy-in from that team, but they think in the back of their heads, they worry, I think, about what people might look like on camera, how they present. Can I control it? How do I train to this? Because it's a new medium for them.
So again, answer to that, I mean, again, because as a CEO, as a founder, particularly if it's your business, you tend to be very particular about, you're focused on everything.
Brand identity.
I want the period there. That font size is too big. People think you're crazy, but you see stuff that other people don't see because it's like your baby.
Because it's yours. Yeah.
But how do you get over that? The fact that, oh my God, if I get George in technical, if anyone sees what he looks like, because he tripped over his beard the other day.
Yeah.
So what are people going to think? How do you get over that?
Well, I think George in technical probably should just be sending internal communication, which I believe is better done this way as well. George, send me and help me understand what you're thinking. Show me the flow of the model you're proposing. Help me understand it. That's a great use for video for George. You might not be customer facing, but if you truly have a problem with your salespeople, your customer experience people, your customer success managers, anybody in that world, anybody that is customer facing, if you are stressed about them being in front of your customers more often,
you got bigger problems. Yeah,
you got a different problem to solve for. You really do. And I think sometimes we kind of shed a light on that.
I was going to say, this is where you end up with the uncomfortable meetings where the meeting is delivered slightly more than everyone was expecting. You do uncover because you can paper over the cracks by mass mailing people. And just say, well, I've sent the email. So, if they don't respond, it's not my fault.
Yeah, I did my thing. I did exactly what you told me to do. I think we just are more and more getting used to poorer and poorer results on some of these campaigns. And again, what I propose is get your people in front of more people more often, build relationships. This know, like, and trust, it really works. It's been working for as long as humans have been trading stones for bread or whatever, right? It's been around that long. We need to get back to doing it more, and we can scale that. You can do that. You can send less communication and get the same result or even larger results.
I can't remember who said it, but I think it was a famous politician who said, if I had more time, it would have been shorter. And I think he was talking about a speech. In other words, the more time he had, the shorter, more concise and more impactful it would have been. So you're right. People do want to send, pages and pages of information thinking that, everyone is going to read through that,
Right. I remember my old boss telling me, if you just expect that to be thrown away, or we want to send the PDF in hopes that they look at it.
Give them some homework because they haven't got enough to do.
Because everyone wants something more to do. That's my favorite when I get an email that I need to do something in order to do something I didn't even know I needed to do. Right. No, I have zero time for any of that ever. But
I was going to say, where are your major areas of growth? So the world has changed over the last 18 months, 2 years in so many different ways. Just the way that people approach business and the work environment and communication. What has come out of this for you? Has surprised you to a certain extent, or where is the major area of growth that has sprung out of the changes?
We're seeing it so across the board. I mean, we're doing big deals with major utility companies, right? That are multi-state,
not known for their sales prowess.
No, but they're using it as different use case. about communicating better with the people we need to communicate with. So we spent some time talking about sales, right? But it's really, are you better in person?
Yes.
No, let me back up. Do you think you're better over a text email or you're better over the phone?
Yeah.
Most people would say over the phone.
Yes, exactly.
Do you think you're better over the phone or do you think you're better in person? Most people are going to say, yeah, I'd rather be in person. I'd rather hang out with someone face to face than talk on the phone. If I had my way, it's just for using the phone because it can't be. Okay, great. Then try to be more in person more often with the people you need to communicate with. Be more human in your approach. Show empathy, show respect, show gratitude. These are human constructs that never change, have never changed.
But it's got to be
psychological.
Real, though, it's got to be, these are real emotions. You can't just fabricate.
They are human.
They've got to be genuine.
We are. So that's what we, at BombBomb, we believe that humans have intrinsic value. We are the most unique animals on the planet, right? We are the dominant creature here for a reason. Let's just lean into those strengths in all types of business, whether it be internal communication, external to customers, existing customers, whatever that might be. I really believe that humans do it better when it's face-to-face. We're more understood. We're more heard. It's just a better overall way to do it.
And the name BombBomb, was that to do with obviously it has explosive connotations. Was it that? It's such a great name.
Thank you.
Memorable. And, so.
Well, that's why we picked it. But it was really, we've been at this so long that when we started, the really popular phrase was, you're the bomb, you're the bomb. And so we thought bomb.com and then we bought bombbomb.com. And back then we used to collect by several URLs. Yes. That was the thing you did back then.
Those were the days when you had to buy them by fax, I think, wasn't it? You had to send a letter to someone in an office.
So we had this one, and we were always entrepreneurial. We had several different businesses, but we knew this one was going to be big, and so we decided we'd use the BombBomb URL or domain for this idea.
And it's great because that sticks, and so that just adds. Well,
yeah. Usually we walk up to a conference in the early days. They would have our name tag.
It's just got to meet these guys. Yeah.
They say we just wanted to know who was going to pick this up. Yeah.
Fabulous. Well, I could, everything you're saying is just resonating because, and as I said, I am truly inspired right now. So, we're going to be speaking afterwards because I want to know how to tap into this. But right now, I'm sorry to say, Darin, that we're going to have to go to the Hooked on Startups quickfire questionnaire. So all of this professional stuff aside, now this is the meat of the podcast.
All right.
So I have 10 questions, which I stole from someone who shall remain nameless. So the first question is, what is your favorite word?
My favorite word? Oh, perseverance.
And number 2, what is your least favorite word?
Can't.
That's funny. Yes. It's a theme. And so many people I speak to have that same thing that, if you say that word again, I am going to physically punch you in the face. Is that okay? Question number 3. What are you most excited about right now?
My family, my children. It's the best. Being a dad's the best job I ever had, ever will have. Being married gratefully for 16 years now. I mean, it's the best. So I do all this to do that.
Yes, yeah. I know what you mean. Number 4, what turns you off right now?
Man, the inability to have a conversation about things we disagree in. Like, that turns me. We need to be able to have a controversial, we just need to be able to have discourse and be okay with each other.
Without the cancel culture, you mean?
Yeah. I mean, let's disagree and agree to disagree and be okay with other people's ideas, even if they're not ours, even if we think they're horrible. Yes. Be okay with other people thinking differently than us. Yeah.
Question number 5. What sound or noise do you love?
I live in Colorado. There's nothing better than the pines. It's just the breeze through the, yes. if you know what I mean, if you live in
whispering pines,
it calls to you. Yeah.
And number 6, what sound or noise do you hate?
Oh man. So I hate it when the Harley Davidson guys just,
potato.
Well, I live in this tranquil area. And, but there's a road, they just love to rip up that thing. I'm sure it's amazing, but it just, I hate it. I wish they would stop.
Which leads us nicely onto my next question. Number 7, what is your favorite curse word? Now, you may plead the fifth, spell it, or just ignore the question altogether.
I mean, I'm pretty clean with it. Honestly, I'd probably say damn it more. I'm like, damn it. Like, that's kind of mine. It's pretty soft, I think.
That's it's absolutely fine. And question number 8, what profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Race car driver.
Fantastic. Yes, having said that about the Harleys, actually, I'm just jealous. Just pull it. Let me have a go.
Right. I mean, I get it. I personally hate it while I'm sitting on my deck enjoying the evening.
Yeah. Yes. Question number 9. What profession would you not like to attempt?
Like accountant.
Much maligned. Yes.
Yeah, I can do accounting. If I had to, like, I can read the spreadsheets, but I don't want to do it.
And question number 10, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Yeah. Good job listening. Yeah. Good job listening.
Fantastic. Well, Darin, it's such a pleasure to have you on. My final question is, how do people get hold of you? How do they find out how to engage with you and take advantage of this, fantastic, model you have?
BombBomb.com is if you want to understand more about what we're doing, how we're helping people do that, BombBomb.com. If you want to connect with me, LinkedIn's the best. I'm easy to find. Darin Dawson, BombBomb, you'll find me, I guarantee it. But send me, you can send me a LinkedIn message. Just make it personal. So it doesn't have to be a
Have
video.
you learned nothing?
Yeah, if you've heard one thing, you will get a response from me, I promise. If you're personal, it is not generic, and mention that you heard me on the podcast or something, whatever. Make it personal. Learn something about me before you hit me up, and you will get a response, I promise. I might not go for whatever you're getting after me for, but you'll get a response.
But that's your fault, exactly. But that's brilliant. Well, Darin, thank you so much. And again, it's been such a pleasure, and I've learned so much, and can't wait to stay in touch and follow your progress, and we'll be in touch very soon.
Appreciate it. It was great. Fun to have you, or fun to be with you.
Thank you. Cheerio. Bye.
You are listening to Hooked on Startups, where every week you'll hear from some of the most talented, inspiring, and successful entrepreneurs who share their real-life stories, how they overcame challenges and failures, and how they mastered success. Get ready for some of the best business tips, tricks and tactics, and some frank, unscripted discussions. Here's your host, Matthew Sullivan.